You wake up feeling awful. Fever, exhaustion, you can barely get out of bed. Then the panic starts. How am I going to pay my bills if I cannot work? For many employees in the UK, sick pay is one of the most misunderstood parts of employment law. Some people assume they will receive full pay for months. Others think they get nothing at all. And the reality often sits somewhere in the middle. We recently spoke to an employee who had worked for a retail company for nearly 5 years. She became seriously ill and needed surgery, which meant several weeks away from work. She assumed her employer would continue paying her normal salary because she had always been a loyal employee. Instead, her wages suddenly dropped dramatically. She had no idea she was only entitled to statutory sick pay under her contract. That shock is more common than people realize. So let's break this down properly. In the UK, many employees are entitled to statutory sick pay, often called SSP. This is the minimum amount employers must usually pay eligible employees who are off sick for more than a few consecutive days. But here is the important part. SSP is not the same as full salary. And for many people, the amount comes as an unpleasant surprise. Now, some employers offer enhanced contractual sick pay. That could mean full pay for a certain number of weeks or months, followed by reduced pay after that. Others only provide SSP and nothing more. That is why your employment contract matters enormously. And this is where people often get caught out. Many employees never properly read the sickness absence section of their contract until they become ill. By then, the financial impact can already be severe. We also see confusion around footnotes and reporting procedures. Some employees assume that, just sending one text message saying they're ill is enough. But actually, employers usually have formal sickness reporting rules. You may need to call a manager, provide medical evidence, or submit footnotes from your GP after a certain period. If those procedures aren't followed, employers sometimes try to withhold sick pay entirely. Now let's talk about another issue that causes real problems. Employees working while ill because they just cannot afford time off. This happens constantly. People log in from hospital beds, answer emails during treatment, or push themselves back to work too early because statutory sick pay simply does not cover their financial commitments. And sometimes, that actually makes health problems worse. Another important point is this. Not everyone automatically qualifies for statutory sick pay. Eligibility can depend on earnings and employment status. Agency workers, part-time workers, and those on irregular hours may still qualify in certain situations, but confusion around entitlement is extremely common. And then there is the issue of disability discrimination. If someone has a long-term health condition amounting to a disability under the Equality Act 2010, employers may need to consider reasonable adjustments instead of simply focusing on absence levels. We dealt with a case involving an employee with multiple sclerosis whose employer treated every sickness absence as a disciplinary issue without considering the underlying medical condition. That created significant legal problems for the business. Now, here is something else many people do not realize. Employers cannot simply stop sick pay randomly if contractual sick pay exists under the employment agreement. If your contract promises enhanced sick pay, the employer is generally expected to honor those terms properly. So what should you do if you become unwell? First, check your contract carefully. Understand whether you receive statutory sick pay, enhanced sick pay, or both. Second, follow reporting procedures correctly. Keep copies of footnotes, emails, and communications. And third, if your employer refuses sick pay, pressures you unfairly while off sick, or mishandles disability-related absences, Take legal advice early. At Blackstone Solicitors based in England, we help employees understand sick pay rights, challenge unfair treatment during sickness absence, and deal with workplace discrimination issues linked to ill health. Because when you are unwell, the last thing you should be worrying about is whether your employer is following the law.